even though they're affordable housing, the rents are still being pushed. A lot of affordable housing previously was all bills paid. And so people got very used to being in that situation where they have, maybe they're Section 8 and they have to come up with this amount of money on this day and they budget for that. It's the same every month.
The issues within, affordable housing or lower income rental brackets are very real. And I think you're right that they're losing jobs or they're losing hours. Everything costs more for everybody.
We're all thinking the same things.
So what's the answer? Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast. Today, I'm here with Angel Williams, principal real estate investor and co-founder of The Academy Presents. Angel, as I mentioned, I love to just let the guests tell their story. It's so much better than me kind of reading what's written on this intro sheet, the bio sheet. But first, thank you for coming on the show today. I know we've had a couple of reschedules, and so I appreciate that we were finally able to connect and have this conversation. So thank you so much for being here.
No, absolutely. So I guess just a little bit about me and my husband, since we're partners. We both grew up in families that invested in real estate. They were in the residential world. My grandparents had some singles. They had a fourplex. They had a small little mobile home community. And then Jason's parents had residential multis. So 2, 3, 4s. I think by the time he passed away, there were 60 or 70 units that way. And theirs are all in Waco, and my grandparents were all in Gatesville. And so then when me and Jason had our first house, he was finishing up his doctorate at Texas Tech, and we never even talked about selling it. We knew that we needed to do a make ready, and that was going to be our first rental. And I think it was just because we grew up with it. It was just a natural progression. And I mean, it was so natural to us that when our first tenant sucked, we had to pay to have her crap removed. And I think she only paid 1 month. It was insane. And we had to do another make ready, that we just took it in stride and got another renter in there. Because we'd already seen it all.
Yeah.
At least from the residential side, or at least we thought we had. We've seen so much more now. Because we've been in this for 20 years. But it's, that was kind of how we got started.
Yeah. I mean, you had I guess, family intro to real estate, but it brings to mind kind of the way people treat real estate, even if you're talking about your own personal residence. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of times people talk about there's the debate on whether or not your own home is an investment property. Mm-hmm. Right. And I always say it is if you treat it as such. If you don't, it's not, right. It's just like any, so I think that it's very much how you approach that real estate. And it sounds like you both had that immediate kind of, I guess you were born into the real estate investing world, but you had that immediate, I guess, mindset towards your own personal residence. And so it's like, why not keep it, rent it out, and kind of keep doing that. So that was a great starting point, but I know you didn't stop there. So tell us a little bit more about this.
So we had our first child in 2007, and we're still playing single families here. So we picked up a few more houses. We might have had our son by then too, but we picked up a few more singles. So all in all, where we live now, we have 4 single families total. So we've got, we have 4 here in Wichita Falls. And then we have the one in Lubbock still. And then I have one where I grew up. So we've got 6 singles. But our son was born in 2010. And when he was 19 months old, we found out that he had a really rare genetic condition. Well, I really hate to say this. So you hear that multifamily is going to make all this money. And it does on the turn or on a refi. Mm-hmm. The cash flow is actually really similar to a levered single family. So for every $25,000 you put into a syndication that's meeting all of its numbers, that's got that 16% IRR, you got the 2x equity multiple in 5 years, the ones that's meeting all of its metrics, for every $25K you put in, you're probably going to cash flow about $100 a month. Well, that's about what your singles are going to do. You know, anywhere from 100 to 300 if you're fully levered. Um, so that's kind of where the similarity is. The big difference is, like I said, on the turn. On the turn, you get a big chunk of change that you can redeploy in lots of different ways. So wealth building, amazing in multifamily. Cash flow, eh. But like I was saying, so we get this diagnosis and we're like, oh, this is going to be expensive because when he was diagnosed, there were 742 cases in the world. So if you've been in the medical space with rare disease for any time, there are auto-qualifying conditions and then there are non-auto-qualifying. Well, his was so rare, it is a non-auto-qualifying, which means that each and every year, $75,000 to about $125,000, $135,000 a year is coming out of our pocket for medical procedures and medical therapies that just aren't covered. So we knew we had to do something. And so in like 2017, maybe 2018, we started doing LP deals in multifamily, and it was insanely amazing. We were doubling up, always doubling up, doubling up, doubling up. And then we weren't.
You're not the only one that had that experience yet.
Yeah, the last 3 years, like, maybe you're in a deal that has low to no distros or distributions, and we haven't been in one that foreclosed. So we're hoping that continues. I feel like things are starting to turn around. Mm-hmm. And that's like, as an economist, that's my belief. I feel like things are starting to turn around. Yeah. Could they double dip? Yes. Could we stagflate? Yes. I mean, there's lots of things that could happen. I don't know all the variables. I don't know what could happen. I don't have a crystal ball, right? But I feel like things are starting to turn around. But again, on the turn, all of those distributions that we're accruing and all of those things that were on the back end accruing, those will be paid at the end. So if you've been counting on multifamily for cash flow for the last 3 years, I'm not sure how you've been making it.
Yeah. I think that's a very true statement.
Yeah, but that was what we did. Our mindset was that we knew we were going to have to supply for Anson. And honestly, at the end of the day, we have 4 kids now. We had 2 more children after Anson. So we've got 3 girls in Anson. So Julie Ann's the oldest in Anson, and then Josephine and Jacqueline. And they know that they will eventually be in charge of his care if he outlives me and Jason. A lot of the children that have his condition don't make it too far into their 20s. So there's a likelihood that this won't even be an issue. But when we were setting things up, our desire was that when Jason and I are no longer here, if Anson still is, that his sisters don't have to do anything but love him and just maintain his level of care, and that there will be money already there for that. And then once he is gone, they will still have money that they will be able to invest with or do what they want with. And then we're hoping for that to be generational. Like, we're working towards creating our own family office, because we want to, even though it'll be small, we want something that can continue on for, well, really into perpetuity. It would be awesome. But we definitely want that generational foundation for our family and our descendants, because it's hard to start if you don't have a little bit in the bank.
Are you planning a remodel or construction project? Overwhelmed by the process? Over budget? Extended timelines? Strained relationships? We are all too familiar. At Lark Construction Services, we help homeowners and business owners take control of their construction journey, from reviewing bids and contracts to catching red flags before they become costly mistakes. Our Clarity Audit is a one-on-one expert review of your plans, estimates, or current progress, giving you the peace of mind and a defined action plan to move forward with confidence. Don't let confusion lead to costly errors. Visit larkconstruction.com and schedule your free call today. Lark Construction Services, saving you time, money, and stress.
Yeah. Yes, 100% true. It takes some. There's been so much. I don't know. Misinformation is the right word, but there's just been there was a lot of hype around multifamily. I was a part of it. I think that what we have learned over the last couple of years is like um, maybe just a reinforcement of the Warren Buffett quote of, when others are fearful, be greedy, and when others are greedy, be fearful. And it's just something that I think is a lesson learned. But the the overarching like kind of theme of what you're saying here in terms of developing generational wealth and setting family up for the future is real estate is certainly still a very good piece of that picture. And I think, it's not necessarily a bad thing to invest in something that isn't cash flowing if you then have a good return at the end of that time. It's okay. It's just, I think, understanding what you're getting into, where you're putting that money, and what the expectations are. If you're trying to, exactly as you said, if you're trying to live off the cash flow of your investments and there isn't any cash flow, then that creates a problem. And so I think that's, there's the idea of being completely passive. I think ultimately it requires a great deal of wealth already invested to be completely passive. And so you got to do something to make that money. And it can be in real estate, it can be in something else. But
yeah, honestly, the thing that was paying out for us is we got into oil and gas.
Yep.
And I think there's a lot of people that have pivoted into oil and gas. I actually married into a family that did oil and gas. So they actually own the land, own the minerals. They lease out the land to cotton farmers. Like it kind of like what you see on Landman, but Midland's about probably an hour from where they are. So Midland's or Landman's a little crazy. Things don't really happen like that.
Yeah.
All my friends that have stuff in West Texas, I've talked to them like, do y'all deal with this? And they're like, yeah, no, not so much. Cause some of them are way bigger, like family office, huge oil and gas productions. So we bounce stories off one another, but, yeah, our cartel, I guess, is the cotton farmer that farms the land while we're out there.
It's a less theatrical, exaggerated version of Landman.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the oil and gas generally, we do have some working interest. So some of what people are syndicating, we have a couple of those too. And those have been pretty steady paying out. I do give a word of caution. One of the deals that we're in, it took about 5 years for us to break even. So are there those random ones that are going to break even in 18 months to 24 months? Probably. I've just never seen one.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they're out there. I have a friend that does it, and absolutely. That particular person says that they've gotten all their money back in, 24 months or less. And wow, I'm so happy for them.
Right.
But that has not been our experience, but it was really nice to be diversified into that. And then the other pivot we made was we're developing too, which is scary on a whole different level. But we have a mobile home community that we're developing, in Central Texas. And so mobile homes are I think they're going to fill that affordable housing niche that isn't really being fulfilled right now. I think that the model of what's worked for affordable housing in the past is starting to falter some. And my belief is that especially newer mobile home communities are going to be able to step up and step into the affordable housing niche and really, really serve that demographic well.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree with you at all. Maybe let's dive into that a little bit. You think that the existing model of affordable housing is faltering? Why? What? And I'm asking this because I genuinely want your opinion. I have maybe my idea of what you're going to say, but I would love to put this out there for people. I think it's an interesting thing to discuss for sure.
Cool. So this is kind of my observation and some of my students, just kind of listening to what they have to say too. And it's, even though they're affordable housing, the rents are still being pushed. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of affordable housing previously was all bills paid. And so people got very used to being in that situation where they have maybe they're Section 8 and they have to come up with this amount of money on this day, and they budget for that. It's the same every month. And so you have some situations where people come in on a value add, even though it's considered affordable housing and it's got its tax breaks, it's got all of those things. They got to keep it 10% or 20 or whatever their percentage is. And now all of a sudden they're taking that all bills paid model and they're rubbing back. And so maybe that changes every month. And so you've got somebody that's on a fixed income, and now what they've budgeted for every month may or may not be enough. And so you've got that kind of a situation going on. And then the people within that demographic are also being hammered from both ends. Their hours are being cut, or they're having to gig work. And so their hours are being cut. They don't have solid and stable income. They're beginning to get depressed. Now you're hitting them with rubs. You're hitting them with something that's outside of their budget because they can't really budget for it anymore. And so those are kind of the things that I'm seeing from just like on the landscape side of things. Like as far as the tax breaks go and the percentages that you have to have available at sliding scale or whatever the guidelines are for where you are to meet the LIHTC, I think that those are the things that are faltering, is that people are coming into the space thinking, oh, this is a good deal, and making the typical changes they would for a value add without understanding that, wait, there's another piece that I have to fulfill to be able to continue the tax break or the tax mitigation. And so they're kind of, I think that's where the failure is coming in, is they don't understand that when you're coming into an affordable housing property, or if maybe the whole property is getting vouchers, that there are guidelines and rules that you have to meet. And maybe that isn't well explained from the seller. I don't know. But I think there's been a breakdown there. And so properties are falling out of the protection of affordable housing. And then they're just left with a higher priced apartment with rubs. Whereas like in a mobile home community, you can literally buy your first home for like $50,000 and it's yours.
Yeah. The issues that are within, affordable housing or lower income rental brackets are very real. And I think you're right that they're losing jobs, or they're losing hours. They, everything costs more for everybody, right? And so when you are already, kind of your budget's stretched to the end, and the price of gas or milk or eggs or insert whatever thing the news cycle is right now, that's the price is up. It matters. It matters a lot, and so we also had quite a big run up on rents through 2020, 2021, early 2022, and I am not an expert in this space, so I'm going to try and keep it high level. But ultimately, as you mentioned, there's an amount that is covered by subsidies. This is this is ignoring the fact that a lot of subsidies and assistance is being cut or might get cut. So but the reality is yeah, there's the ownership groups are also getting hit because they may have a tax break, but that doesn't mean taxes didn't go up. Insurance has gone up a ton, sort of across the boards. There's no real impact on that, even if you have a LIHTC property. So expenses on the ownership side of owning one of these properties has gone up a lot. So what's the answer to that? Well, we'll bill back for the utilities, and it's like, okay, and on its surface, that might be only $30 a month or something like that. But like, it actually matters. That $30 a month matters for...
That could be a week of food.
Right. It matters. It matters for both sides, basically, because you're paying for those utilities if the tenant's not paying for their utilities. So those prices have gone up. So it's essentially, I completely, not to beat a dead horse, but I completely agree with you, and I do think it's concerning what's going to happen. in that space. Like the people that are renting those lower income houses are not in a position to suddenly have more disposable income.
Agreed.
And so, to your point, maybe the answer is, sort of mobile home type properties where you can own like
Mm-hmm.
own your house for maybe less than it would take to rent. There's other, I guess, potential challenges there in that, those mobile home properties aren't likely to be developed close to job centers. So, I mean, there's,
So I'll tell you, the one we got, when I say like it is amazing, I don't know how to explain its amazingness. So it's in Waco, Texas.
okay.
It's the school district that will be servicing this location is Midway. So if you're not from Waco, you don't understand, but Midway is probably the best school district in Waco.
Oh,
I grew up 40 miles away. And so when we would do UIL events at Midway, we were all like, because we were 3A. It was 5A. And it was new facilities, everything shiny and bright and wow. So the land we bought is actually unincorporated, pre-annexed, across the street from a subdivision, a nice subdivision. Probably $350,000 to $500,000 homes, which if you live in any other state, that probably doesn't sound that amazing. But in Texas, a $500,000 home is wow.
yeah.
So we're talking like these are some people that are going to be pretty unhappy. Uh, but it's unincorporated land. And so we get the chance to create this opportunity for a completely different demographic to be able to go to, if not the best school district in Waco, one of the top two. And so these people are going to be able to go to that school. They're going to be able to offer that to their children without having to live in some apartment that's maybe in the school district but super run down because the owners know that people are just moving there so they can get their kids in that school district.
Yeah.
So we're excited to be able to offer it and to be able to have it. And like, so Waco Housing Authority. So it was a 60 acre lot, and they broke it down into 3 tracks. So like we got the inside, which was zoned for build to rent or duplexes, or we did the mobile home community.
Yeah.
Then the next 20, the Waco Housing Authority bought. And then the next 20 was bought by a multifamily developer.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I think we're all thinking the same things. And I'm just super excited to be able to be that for somebody, to be the conduit that allows them to get their own place if that's what they want, but to also be able to put their kids in a stellar school district that might not have been attainable elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. Is Waco? So I told you I mentioned I lived in Houston.
Waco's on I-35.
Yeah, but in Houston there's no zoning, right? So like you can build like something industrial across the street from a house. They don't. There's no zone. That's not all of Texas, right? That's
No.
particular to Houston. Okay.
Yeah, so like what the land we bought was zoned. I think it's zoned R2, which is like light density, or it's not light. It's like medium density, I think.
Yep.
And then the next one has a different density rating, and then the last one, of course, is higher density, and that's how they're doing the multifamily.
Yeah. So that is what I think probably most people are used to. It was very unusual when I lived in Houston to find out that.
Like, I didn't know that. That's insane.
I'm not actually. That was a decade ago plus, so I'm not sure if it's still that. But yeah, there was no zoning in Houston, so it was like you could build basically anything anywhere. It's interesting because it didn't end up that way. Like it's still things got
mostly houses
near like things
in one area.
Yeah, nobody was trying to buy like a house in the middle of
nobody's putting a house next to a refinery.
Right. And vice versa. Nobody was trying to buy like property in the, gosh, I'm forgetting what the Beverly Hills of Houston is, but
like the Woodlands or somewhere over there.
Well, Woodlands is outside, but there's like maybe it'll come to me. But anyway, there is an area that is like nobody's going to go in there and buy one of those, $10 million homes to put a factory on the lot. Like it's like it stays mostly zoned anyway, but not mandated by the city. Yeah. So anyway, but the idea, what you're doing there, I think makes a ton of sense, and will help people. And I think, you know, Texas is maybe one of the more maybe unique in the sense that there's a lot of space there to do this. So it's people from different parts of the country are going to be like, well, this would never work here in whatever. It's not going to work here in Los Angeles where I am. Like there's not a big spot of land that someone could buy and put in a mobile home park for affordable housing. So you have to think of other solutions, but the idea is to be thinking of those solutions, because I do think we know we have a housing crisis, a housing shortage, in the sense that as a country we're 3 to 5 million, I think, is the housing units short of the number of people that need housing. I'm sure that skews towards the affordable housing side of things. Like that's probably I don't hear anyone saying we need to build 3 million mansions. It's like we need housing for people to live in, and it needs to be affordable. So it's definitely a problem that I think the mobile home park, for the reasons you described, is a very viable solution, and maybe realistically probably I would say better than viable. It's a good solution for those residents to be able to own something. And I think
mobile homes are so much different now than they were.
Right.
The
And
ones my
yeah,
grandparents had were like
yeah,
from the 80s. They
yep,
didn't even have real doors. They had pocket doors
yep, yep,
because the walls were this thick, and
yep,
like it just horrendous. Now, I mean, they're built to HUD standards. Like they've got regular size studs. They've got regular doors. Like they are a house. The only difference is it comes in on skids.
yeah, yeah. It is that's exactly where I was going. Is that it is the stigma that may have been associated in the past, I think is changing. Certainly the
It'll have to be
quality.
broken. It'll have to
Right.
be broken.
Yeah.
But the way we're going to break it is by doing some of these ground ups, or going into one that's pre-existing and making it gated and
Yeah.
making it pretty, and doing the work to really make it special.
Hmm.
And having an HOA, make people keep up their end too.
Right.
Like if you want to have a nice place, we all have to work together to create that nice place.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's going to take to really break that. Oh, you live in a trailer park? You can take that girl out the trailer park, but you can't take the trailer park out that girl, right? That's the stigma.
Yeah.
But I don't think it has to be that way. And I think that, I mean, we're on a pathway to try and break some of that down, because I think that, like I said before, I really believe that this is a great direction to be going, and it's going to help so many people. Like the people that are right there at the cusp, that they're $100 short every month to get in their new place,
Yep.
or they can't save up that 20,000 or that 20%. Like I can't do it. They don't have the 10% to go get a rent to own or a seller finance from one of those people that's upcharging anyway. But they're $100 short every month for that kind of stuff. But they can get into a mobile home. They can get into a chattel loan because it has lower credit rating requirements. Like I think it's going to open some opportunities for a demographic that hasn't seen these opportunities before.
Yeah. Well, yes, and doesn't need to be, but could be a stepping stone to then moving into a large, for exactly if you're able to live in something affordable, kind of get your finances in order to the point of being able to set some money aside. Like, okay, I live here, I own the asset, so I can sell it when I decide to move, versus, I just leave my apartment, and with all the money I paid is gone, and then move on to, the next step if they want to. So I do think, and it's funny, the whole stigma thing. There's mobile home parks here in Malibu. Like it's not like
they're all over Florida too.
Yeah, like you wouldn't think so, but like people wouldn't think of that there could be mobile home parks in Malibu, but there sure are, and they're actually very nice, like near the beach, and it's just so. I think that doing things like you're doing to shift that stigma away from oh, this is, that, trailer park trash type of thought. But it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, as someone who grew up essentially in affordable housing situations and moved every year of my life and as a child, like, because we couldn't afford it, I would have happily lived in a mobile home. I don't think we knew. I don't think we knew that was an option, but like that would have been a welcome difference than how we did it. So it's kind of like I would be I commend you. I think it's a great product and a great problem to be solving for people, and so needed. So super cool. It's very 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 what's the right word? I guess forward thinking, but also almost I don't know,
I understand. No, it's
humanity humanitarian efforts,
yeah.
I guess.
Well, I mean, so my girls, well, they have a special needs brother. It's hard. And there are times when I say, guess what? He's a human too.
Mm-hmm.
Don't talk to him like that because he's a human too.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what it comes down to is we're all humans. And every human deserves some level of dignity. Now, if they choose to turn that away, then that's not on me.
Right.
But if I can offer something to help, and I think back to when I was teaching middle school, I taught at a very, very low socioeconomic school. There was a lot of poverty there. And one of the best things I ever got to do was I got to be a part of one of the professional developments, which you all hate anyway, that it was the Ruby Payne poverty studies. And I came away with just a much deeper understanding. Like, why would somebody skip in the middle of the night after buying their kid a brand new pair of Air Jordans, a $300 pair of shoes? Well, because that $300 wasn't going to help them make the rent.
Right.
So yeah, they bought their kid that $300 pair of shoes, and then they had to skip the next night because they couldn't make rent. And to learn some of the thinking behind that is like, well, you don't want everybody to know that your kid's having hardship, and you weren't going to be able to make the rent with that money anyhow. And
Sure.
so there's just like learning these little things. And so the Ruby Payne poverty studies were huge eye openers for me. And then really seeing my students and knowing that I wanted to be able to help them someday. And so when it comes to our apartments, we've got 2 apartment complexes also where we're the lead sponsors. And I want to know that I'm taking care of the residents. And I want to know that some of the kids that were my students, maybe they get to live there and they get to feel safe and they get to feel secure and they get to have a home instead of bouncing around or, sofa surfing or living with aunts and cousins and whoever in the family will take them in. Because I watched some of those families double and triple up. A lot of them were mixed. You'd have great grandparents, aunts, uncles, everybody in one house.
Yeah.
And very, very common. And so to be able to help take care of that demographic and hopefully some of my old students, like just to know that I get to be a part of that, that's a big deal to me, and it makes me feel really good.
Yeah. Yeah. The first apartment complex I ever like toured, right? Like due diligence, went and toured and stuff. The first thing that popped in my head was like, oh, I lived here. Like not
No, I
not
understand.
literally. I didn't live in that one, but I lived here. I lived in this
This was me.
type. Yeah, this was me exactly. And so it was like it felt very meaningful. Now a lot of things have happened since then that have hurt that feeling around it. But yeah, it was. I think that's why this, what you're doing, what you're talking about is just resonates a lot with me because that I think that being a landlord, an ownership group of apartments, like it gets looked upon as if everybody is slumlords and don't care about the tenants, and it's quite the opposite in a lot of instances, and sometimes sometimes the outside forces make it like almost too hard do to do the good that you wanted to do, the reason that you kind of got into that. So,
I mean, there's only so much money to make repairs. There's
right.
only so much money to paint fascia. There's only so much money. I mean, you're going to make the required repairs. You're going to do everything you have to keep people as comfortable as you can, but you also have investors that you have to keep happy.
Right.
And yeah. I mean, for us, like we personally have we're closing in on $200,000 into a property that isn't meeting projections. It's not performing great. But we're still trying to, if we can just hold on to it, there's always the upward trend. It's going to come back around. And I really do believe things are starting to turn around. But we're also investors in our own deal. Mm-hmm. And just like we don't want to lose other investors' money, we don't want to lose our own money either. Right. And so like, there's this weird balancing act, like you said, of you have to answer to your residents, because if you don't have residents, you don't have any income at all. So you have to answer them. You got to make sure you're doing your maintenance. Everything has to be getting done, but there's only so much money to get those things done with. And so like when I say we're pouring money in, that's not a sustainable model.
Yeah.
Yep. We've been blessed with maybe having a little bit of a different pocket than a lot of people and a lot of operators out there. And we've been able to do it for however long we've been doing it. It feels like forever. It's not really forever, but it feels like forever. But we're doing the best we can to keep it going. Things will eventually turn around. And then we come back to this idea that on the back end, everything that was accruing, it's all covered on the back end. So if you're coming into this thinking you're going to have like, what is it, rents due, and you get that wad of cash on the first of every month.
Right.
Yeah. That's all a bunch of BS. That is not.
Oh yeah.
That's not for real, friends.
I remember people used to put that on social media all the time. The first of every month, everybody be posting like, yeah, rent's due today. And it's like, that's not the reality of the situation.
Especially not during COVID.
Right. It's due. It's due. Yes. But is it getting paid on the first? Often not. And you said there's only so much money. It's like you have things that are not, you have your own mortgage to pay basically on that property. Most of them are not owned outright. You have taxes, insurance, maintenance, all of this. So it's a challenging time. I agree. Things come around. It's a cycle, and the cycle will come around, and hopefully, people can ride through it. I think having a mission like it seems you do helps kind of get through the harder times. And I think we've talked a lot about it, but I do want to ask you sort of directly the question I ask every guest, which is, what is your why? The show's called Know Your Why. I think you've probably touched on a lot of it, Angel, and I just want to give you the opportunity if there's anything you want to kind of add to that. But I think it's been very clear that you have definitely a mission-driven approach to this.
Well, I mean, I'm always going to have a teacher heart. I may not be teaching anymore, but I'm always going to have a teacher heart, and those babies are always going to have a special place in my heart. And I want to make sure that those specific babies, and then all the babies that are like them, are taken care of. And I'm not going to be able to do it for all of them, but if I can help a few of them, that'll fill my teacher heart.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a byproduct, honestly, because my first why is my family, and it's my son, and it's knowing that I don't want to burden my daughters with the financial hardship of caring for someone with special needs, because they're expensive. And I mean, it's one of two ways. You either keep yourself in poverty to be able to get all the state services and like all the services, all the Medicaid, or you go the other direction. And we chose to go the other direction. And we want to make sure that our daughters don't have that hardship, that all they have to do is love their brother and just maintain what he's getting. And the other piece that we want to have, eventually we're going to have a foundation for it, but we do have a portion of our profit set aside for Dupe 15Q, which is the condition my son has. Like I said, it's super rare. It doesn't get a cute name.
Yeah. I've never even heard that.
It's literally a duplication of the 15th of that chromosome.
Okay.
Like it's a portion on the long arm of the 15th chromosome.
Okay.
So he's got some extra copies there. So Angelman syndrome is from a deletion on the paternal copy of that region. Prader-Willi is a deletion on the maternal. I may have those opposite, but the star guy, what's his name? Will. He's foreign, speaks with an accent. It's not Farrell. It's the other one. Colin? Will.
You said Will?
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
He's a famous actor. His son has Angelman's.
Okay.
And so there was at one point, because again, like when I say there's not a whole bunch of us, like there's maybe 400 of us in the States. And most of us know the other ones by name or by picture, something.
Yeah, I'm sure that you're all in the same.
Our hope was to be able to kind of ride on those coattails, because he's been doing like a lot of events and stuff and getting a lot of publicity and just knowledge for people to have that there's these conditions out there. And so that's kind of cool too.
Yeah.
But I don't know that within our lifetime that it'll become one of those easy to get covered diseases. I don't think it'll be an auto qualifier. But to have options and just for people to see that we're out there. That's our goal, is to be able to give part of all of our profit to that organization, because for us, it's a big deal if as an entire organization, we raise $100,000 a year. Yeah. Well, I promise you, there's not a lot of R&D that can be done with $100,000 a year.
Right. Right.
So we would love to be able to do that ourselves, and we give the 100,000, and be able to be that person, and to be able to give that profit from our businesses to help just bolster that research, and to be able to help the other families in our community that are dealing with this condition. And that's our big why. The other ones are kind of byproducts.
Wow, that's amazing. It's Colin Farrell.
There you go.
Just looked it up.
I was thinking Will Ferrell. I'm like, why do I keep thinking Will Ferrell?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Colin Farrell. There you go.
Colin Farrell, yeah, his son.
Thank you. Y'all can all laugh at me. I'm an idiot, but it's all good.
No, you had me curious. I mean, it's interesting because I knew that he had, his son had some condition. I had no idea what it was, though. So this, any
so Angelman's
awareness.
is like, so Angelman syndrome. It's like a lot of the children, whether it's Prader-Willi, Angelman syndrome, or D15Q, they've got intellectual disability. Which, if you're older, like I'm 48, it used to be called mental retardation. So ID is the new MR. It's called intellectual disability now. I think also that helps it to kind of fall under the IDEA Act. So you got, now that's ID. So my son has severe intellectual disability. He's 15. He's still in diapers. He's probably maybe 2 to 3 in his mind. He's got profound autism. He's just got a lot going on. But he's super sweet. And so we love him. We've been really fortunate that he doesn't have the same level of, say, seizure activity that some of the kids that have his condition have. It's bad. It's really bad. And so, like I said, to be able to be that 100,000, to add to the 100,000 that we always collect, to be able to double it. And now let's see what we can do with R&D, knowing that we've been able to do some pretty amazing stuff. To be able to be a part of that. I think that's the coolest thing, is to be a part of something that changes lives. That is so cool.
Well, and I think maybe, I don't know, maybe people know this or don't know this, but I mean, unfortunately, the rarity of a particular disease, though it shouldn't, this is like a terrible thing to think about, but it's almost like research doesn't go in, they don't put money into those research because not as many people are affected. And so it is.
They're going to go to the money makers.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
they're going to go to cancer. They're going to go to diabetes. They're not going to go to D15Q. We don't even get a cute name.
Yeah. 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 It really truly comes down to like, it's, I guess, keeping it in real estate terms, ROI in terms of that, research and development side of things. So it's, what you're doing is incredible. So I think, well, it's very clear that you are mission driven, and I love to see it. So when people hear this and they want to reach out to you, what's the best way? Maybe they want to reach out because they have a child in the same scenario, or maybe they want to talk real estate. But how can people find you?
LinkedIn is super easy. I think I'm like Angel R. Williams RE or something, but it's just Angel Williams. You will find me. I've got blue and purple hair. It's really evident in my picture on LinkedIn. I do have a coaching program. I have coachwithangel.com. You can get a hold of me there too. That one's super easy to remember. So coachwithangel.com or on LinkedIn, and I answer all my own messages. So yes, I have a VA, but I answer all my own messages because when people get to know me, they find out that I have a really good memory. And I'm probably going to remember our last conversation. And I don't ever want to be stuck somewhere, but they're like, don't you remember that conversation we had? And I'm deer in headlights. So I answer all my own stuff.
Yeah. You don't you remember that conversation that you didn't have that someone was saying they were you? Yeah. We'll get all that in the show notes too, so people can find you easily. Angel, this was amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I think I frankly did not anticipate how deep we would get, I guess, but I loved it. This is why I do this. This is why I do this podcast. This is the stuff I like to talk about. So real estate's awesome, but it's a vehicle to do good in the world. So thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you for this platform and just allowing me to share our experience and share what's going on with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Folks listening, make sure you connect with Angel. Please like, rate, and review the show so we can continue to get great guests. And as always, thank you for listening.
Hey there, I am Dr. Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast, where we explore the why behind success. Every week, I meet with real estate investors, veterinary entrepreneurs, mindset coaches, authors, and fitness professionals to uncover their why and how it drives them on the winding road to success. What is your why?